In today's video, I'll be discussing ghrelin, which is known as the main hunger hormone, and what it is, why it gets produced, where it gets produced, and if it can aid in fat loss. And if you do like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe because every little means a lot. So what is ghrelin and when does it get produced? Since it is the main hormone to cause hunger, it stimulates appetite for you to intake food when your stomach is empty or close to it. Ghrelin also plays a role in the control of insulin release and the release of human growth hormone. It also gets produced around the times you usually eat. So say if you were to eat at 9 am, 2 pm and 6 pm, your body will be expecting food, so ghrelin levels will spike around those times. Where does it get produced? Ghrelin is produced in the stomach when you're hungry, which then goes into the bloodstream and circulates in the blood until you eat something. And as it circulates, it will act on the brain, specifically on the hypothalamus, which is an area of the brain responsible for the control of appetite. And when the ghrelin from the bloodstream acts on the brain, it will make you hungry. So can it aid in fat loss? So ghrelin can't actually aid in fat loss, but understanding it and using it to your advantage most definitely can. First off, ghrelin levels may be altered to an unusual amount due to some factors. These factors include not keeping at a normal body weight. A lot of people may think that individuals who are higher in body fat percentage have more ghrelin circulating in their bloodstream when they are hungry, but the fact seems to be that they tend to be more sensitive to ghrelin rather than having more of it. And on the other end, individuals who are really low in body fat percentage tend to have really high levels of ghrelin, which is the body attempting to make up for the lost fat and bring up the body back to a normal body fat percentage. So the main point is to stay at a normal body fat percentage so that you're not too sensitive to ghrelin or you don't have too much of it either. And the second factor is not having good sleep quality. Sleep is very important in the body for it to be able to function adequately, as in the quality, length and consistency of sleep. It's been said for a long time that undersleeping is bad for the body. So I've picked out a study that claims that short sleep duration is associated with reduced leptin, elevated ghrelin, and increased BMI. These claims can be proven by their findings. This first graph shows the correlation between the participants' BMI and the amount of sleep they got. You can see that the group that slept 6 hours on average had the highest BMI on average, and the other 4 groups all had a lower mean BMI, and the average BMI was at its lowest in the group that slept 7.5 hours on average. And I should also point out that the group that slept 9 hours or more on average had the second highest BMI out of all the groups. And I think the main two reasons for this, it could be that the sample size for the group was too small, as it did have the smallest group size. And since it only shows average, some people may have overslept in the groups, as oversleeping also causes negative health effects and may also raise BMI. And although correlation doesn't imply causation, these next two graphs show that the groups that slept the least had the highest levels of ghrelin and the lowest levels of leptin, which is the satiety hormone. And the study concluded that participants with short sleep had reduced leptin and elevated ghrelin. These differences in leptin and ghrelin are likely to increase appetite, possibly explaining the increased BMI observed with short sleep duration. In Western societies, where chronic sleep restriction is common and food is widely available, changes in appetite regulatory hormones with sleep curtailment may contribute to obesity. There are also some factors that will keep your ghrelin levels at an appropriate amount and won't cause cravings throughout the day. The first point is eating better to suppress hunger. So as you eat, your ghrelin levels will decrease, but some foods will decrease more than others. It's known that proteins and carbs are more satiating than fats and processed foods. To prove these claims, I've picked out a study that shows the food satiety index of some common foods. The study was done by serving 38 foods separated into 6 categories: fruits, bakery products, snack foods, carbohydrate-rich foods, protein-rich foods, and breakfast cereals. These foods were fed to groups of 11 to 13 subjects. Satiety ratings were obtained every 15 minutes over a 2-hour period, after which subjects were free to eat ad libitum from a standard range of food and drinks. And these are the results they got in the end. We can see the difference in satiety from the food groups when also being compared to white bread that is at the bottom. The bakery products being the least filling and the proteins and carbs being the most filling. Specifically, potatoes being the most satiating carb source and lean fish being the most satiating protein source. So the takeaway point from all this is to eat protein and carb-rich foods, preferably the ones that are closer to the bottom of the graphs. Choose non-sugary breakfast cereals. Make sure to eat fruit. Stay away from bakery products as much as you can. And if you insist on snacking, go for popcorn over other snacks. The second point is to eat at consistent times. Like I said earlier, ghrelin levels tend to rise during the times you usually eat. So if you stay consistent and eat at the same times every day, chances are that you won't get random cravings. So for an example, say if you eat out again 9 am, 2 pm and 6 pm, these are the times that ghrelin levels will be the highest. And say if you were to eat your last meal at 4 pm instead of 6 pm, you may still be hungry or even get cravings around 6 pm since you ate earlier than usual. This may go the other way as well. If you were to eat later than usual, you might not get fully satiated when you eat. However, these aren't likely to have a huge effect on someone's calorie intake over the long term. But it does have the possibility of taking someone out of a calorie deficit or putting someone in a calorie surplus from day to day. And I'd like to add, if you regularly change your meal times, your body will adapt and change to when it expects food. However, it will take some time to adapt to this, and it may even take up to 2 weeks for some people. So the main takeaway points from this video are: try to keep at a normal body fat percentage, have good and consistent sleep, eat quality proteins and carbs, and also try to eat at consistent times every day.